Galadari.
Good evening and welcome. This is Newsfirst Primetime News coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Today is the 7th of February 2024. For the Newsfirst team, I am Jaimal Ratnayaka.
And I'm Dithmini De Silva. Let's start off with a look at the headlines.
President urges everyone to unite in the pursuit of the nation-building dream.
රට වෙනුවෙන් පොදු ගමකට එකතු වෙන්න පොදු ජන පෙරමුණට පුළුවන් නම් සමගි ජන බලවේගයට එහෙම කරන්න බැරියයි පොදු ගමකට එකතු වෙන ජනතා විමුක්ති පෙරමුණටද බැරියයි
SJB stages walkout during President's policy statement in Parliament. Chandrika Bandaranayake to lead Podu Jana Eksat Peramuna. Multiple factions claim Election Commission has the right to call for elections and not the President.
In tonight's top story, in a speech marking the opening of the 5th session of the 9th Parliament, President Ranil Wickremesinghe extended a renewed invitation to all political parties to unite in rebuilding the nation facing numerous economic and social challenges. The President expressed openness to alternative approaches, noting that if there are better methods than the current policies, he is ready to consider them in depth.
Our journey can gain momentum only when we unite and confront this challenge collectively. If we divert from reality and tread the path of illusions, we risk falling into significant peril. Once again, I urge everyone to unite in the pursuit of our nation-building dream. Let's engage in open discussions. If there are alternative methods superior to the ones we are currently employing, please bring them forward. If you endorse the idea of engaging in these discussions, I am prepared to extend invitations to top officials from the international financial institutions, including the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, to visit Sri Lanka for these deliberations. One of the many political parties represented in this House for decades, those who strongly criticize my actions are representing the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. In the interest of the nation's welfare and the prosperity of our youth, the majority of the Podujana Peramuna have set aside past animosities and reached a consensus. Likewise, long-standing political allies have aligned with the Samagi Jana Balavega, including those whom I personally introduced to the political arena. If the Podujana Peramuna can unite for the greater good, why can't the Samagi Jana Balavega follow suit? During the period of good governance, the Janata Vimukti Peramuna cooperated closely with us. It was Disanayaka who proposed the name of Ananda Vijaypala to lead the anti-corruption office, a position for which he maintains pertinent records to this day. Anur Kumara is still in possession of copies of those files. So why can't the JVP join forces for the betterment of our nation? Although we may compete in elections separately, let us collaborate in nation-building endeavours. I extend my invitation once more to embrace a shared vision and common purpose for our country. Let us initiate change within ourselves, fostering unity and enlightenment. Failure to prioritize this duty over personal agendas would be a betrayal of history's judgment. Let us embark on this new journey together, forging a brighter future and a renewed nation. Join me in building a new era for our beloved country.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe reached Parliament at approximately 9:45 a.m. to open the new session of the Parliament and was welcomed by the Speaker, Secretary General and the Parliament staff. Thereafter they were met with students who performed the Jayamangala Gatha. At 10 a.m. the head of state opened the new session of Parliament and delivered the policy statement of the government.
මේ පෙබ්‍රුවාරි වෙද්දී ගිය අවුරුද්දේ පෙබ්‍රුවාරිට වඩා යහපත් මට්ටමකින්
As of February 2023, commendable efforts have led to a considerable improvement in the country's condition, surpassing the state it was in during the same month the previous year. Inflation, which stood at a daunting 50.6% last year, has dramatically decreased to a mere 6.4% today. The exchange rate has shown positive movement, with a dollar worth 362 rupees in the past and now valued at 314 rupees. Despite a 3.7% budget primary deficit in 2022, we achieved a significant turnaround in 2023, achieving a primary budget surplus. The interest rate, which was a high 28% in 2023, has notably dropped to 12%. The 52 main statutory bodies of the government, facing a loss of 745 billion by the end of 2022, turned a profit of 313 billion by September 2023. It is noteworthy that these institutions are suffering from a huge debt burden. On April 12, 2022, Sri Lanka declared its inability to pay its debt, with foreign exchange reserves hitting zero. The current situation is vastly improved, with foreign exchange reserves standing at $4.4 billion by the end of December 2023. Our economy, initially plummeted with unprecedented speed, had undergone a remarkable turnaround at rocket speed, resembling a V-shaped recovery igniting hope. Achieving such remarkable feats in a brief span is truly a world record for a country, marking such kind of a record-breaking breakthrough.
The President also elaborated on the debt restructuring efforts.
The domestic debt restructuring plan has been successfully executed as the first step, and the policy agreement for restructuring has been reached with foreign creditors as the second step. Negotiations with private creditors are presently in progress. Anticipated in the first initial 6 months of this year, the intricate restructuring plan is poised to form the foundational framework for restoring our economy to normalcy. It will serve as a pivotal juncture in alleviating the burden of debt. By September 2023, our total debt burden was $91 billion. As a result of debt restructuring, we will be able to reduce the annual payment. Nevertheless, even under such a situation, we will still have to pay around $3 billion per year. We cannot continue to be paying in this manner. We need to create a balance between our income and expenditure.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe outlined a comprehensive plan to transform Sri Lanka into a vibrant, competitive economy through a series of strategic reforms, highlighting the need for gradual adjustments as the nation stabilizes. His proposed initiatives focus on a phased reduction in the tax burden will be implemented as economic recovery takes hold, exploring opportunities to revise the value-added tax structure, setting an ambitious target of 5 million annual tourist arrivals, completion of groundwork for green hydrogen and ammonia production, the establishment of an international climate change university, the establishment of an independent economic commission aligned with international standards to streamline bureaucratic processes and create a welcoming environment for investors.
Recognizing the challenges faced by foreign investors in Sri Lanka, we have formulated a comprehensive plan to simplify the investment process, eliminating bureaucratic hurdles and corruption risks. Building on international standards, the groundwork for establishing an economic commission aligning with current needs is now completed. This commission oversees a comprehensive set of investment laws and programs.
President Wickremesinghe announced a multifaceted reform package encompassing education. The plan envisions establishing new science and technology colleges and vocational training colleges, expanding the free trade agreement with India into a comprehensive economic and technical cooperation agreement, full implementation of existing pact with Singapore, and reach free trade agreements with China, Indonesia and Bangladesh, joining the regional comprehensive economic partnership, implementing a strategic plan to broaden economic activities in cities like Jaffna, Trincomalee, Bingiria, Hambantota and Kandy. Delegated powers related to sectors like vocational education and agriculture given to provincial councils under the third list of provincial council powers in the Constitution. Port City of Colombo has been identified as a special financial zone, facilitating the enactment of necessary laws and ordinances for conducting international financial transactions in the region.
It's crucial to recognize that the resolution to the economic crisis lies not in political but in economic and scientific solutions. To advance, we must transition to a modern, robust economy. I will present the Economic Transformation Act to Parliament shortly, and relevant institutions have been established.
The President also announced steps with regard to lands in the country.
Hundreds of thousands of acres acquired under the Land Reform Commission remain unproductive, leading to a significant waste of resources. Various government agencies such as the Janavasama and State Plantations Corporation own these lands with billions of public funds spent on maintaining them. To address this issue, we have devised an effective plan, leasing these lands to local entrepreneurs for long-term commercial cultivation, including the option for foreign technology and investment. This strategy aims to transform underutilized lands into sources of foreign exchange, contributing to economic development.
The president also elaborated on combating corruption.
While corruption is widely acknowledged as a scourge in our nation, it's crucial to recognize that a systematic and formal set of rules is essential to combat it. Shouting about catching thieves is ineffective without a strong legal system and a scientific approach executed by trained officers. Merely bringing corrupt individuals to justice is not a comprehensive solution. Prevention is equally critical. Strict rules to deter corruption and severe punishments for offenders must work in tandem. The enactment of the Anti-Corruption Act is a significant step in this direction, and its impartial implementation is evident for all those to see.
As President Wickremesinghe commenced his speech at the new session of Parliament this morning, several members of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, including leader Sajith Premadasa, exited the House. Chief Opposition Whip Lakshman Kiriyala clarified that the departure served as a statement against specific government measures implemented in the recent past.
Every single time he asks for our support. In every speech he says that we must work together. But what happened recently? The peaceful protests were attacked. This contrasts with the president's previous stance on such matters. After becoming the president, he is trying to use his might to get our support. Those attempts are futile, and we are unafraid. While privileges associated with parliamentary duties are important, there are discrepancies in decentralized funding distribution, with the ruling faction given funding and the opposition MPs given nothing.
During the president's speech at the parliament session today, several members of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, including leader Sajith Premadasa, exited the House. However, several other members who contested to parliament from the Samagi Jana Balawegaya remained, including Rajitha Senaratne, Partli Champika Ranawaka and Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca. In addition, MPs Ishaq Rahman and AHM Fauzi, who support the government, as well as Kumara Welgama, who remains independent in the opposition, stayed in the House. The Tamil Progressive Alliance, led by MP Manu Ganeshan, and allied with the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, did not participate in the session. Jathika Jana Balawegaya leader Anurakumara Dissanayaka and MP Vijitha Herath were absent as they were overseas, and Dr. Harini Amarasuri of the Jathika Jana Balawegaya was present during the president's speech. Charles Nidamalanathan and Thawarasa Kaleyarasan were the only members of the Ilankai Tamil Arasu Kachi present.
There is no issue. I have worked against many parties. The media always spoke about crossovers, but never about those who change policies. I do not need anyone in my personal journey. This is our program. The SLPP carries forward our program. Sajith Premadasa and Ranil Wickremesinghe are a small part of that. They did not communicate such a move to us. We are a political party, and if they had communicated their decision to us at least yesterday, we could have considered it. No call was made to either me or the General Secretary. Hence, we decided to stay.
MP Lakshman Kiriyala responded to these claims.
That is their personal view, and our party is democratic. We do not chain people to stay with us. At the upcoming elections, we will reach decisions based on their conduct. There is no issue in working together. There is no reason to panic. We believe that Sajith Premadasa will emerge victorious irrespective of who remains or not.
හිටපු ජනාධිපති මෛත්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන මහත්මයා කිව්වා එතුමාට නිකන්වත් කිව්වා නම් එහෙම මෙහෙම වර්ජනයක් කරනවා කියලා එතුමාලත් සම්බන්ධ වෙනවයි කියලා.
We informed them. Some make such excuses when they cannot support us. They saw us exit the chamber.
The Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna expressed their views over the president's speech today.
We can see the political immaturity of Sajith Premadasa because of the sudden decisions he took. We saw that his team is not with him. There is a political crisis within the Samagi Jana Balawega and we witnessed that today. We have to see whether jobs will be created in the country. If we take America and China, the main concern is about creating jobs. So let's wait and see until the detailed policies come out.
Kehelia Rambukwella, a member of parliament currently under remand, declined to participate in the opening of the new parliamentary session today. This was confirmed by the prison spokesman, Prisons Commissioner Gamini B. Disanayaka, who stated that Parliament had been informed of the decision.
The Sergeant-at-Arms of Parliament sent a letter to the Prisons Department requesting that the currently remanded former Minister Kehelia Rambukwella be referred to the Parliament today. When we inquired, he declined to attend Parliament, citing health reasons. Therefore, the Prisons Department duly notified the Sergeant-at-Arms. We informed that Kehelia Rambukwella will not attend Parliament on the 7th, 8th and 9th.
Professor Gio Pires commented on the Parliament session.
The President proroguing Parliament only resulted in a complete stall of the investigations that were carried out by the Parliament committees into large-scale fraud, where public funds were looted. Apart from what happens in the Parliament chamber, Parliament committees also perform a vital role. There are 91 parliamentary committees, and when the Parliament session is prorogued, 64 from the 91 parliamentary committees cease to function. Among those 64 committees, there are 6 committees related to the economy. Those committees are carrying out investigations that are of paramount importance. They were about to complete those investigations, especially related to the looting of public funds. The Committee on Public Accounts, Committee on Public Finance, Committee on Public Enterprises ceased to function. This is an attempt to protect the rogues. This paves the way for corruption. What happens now? All 64 committees will have to be reappointed. That is time-consuming.
The Centre for Policy Alternatives has strongly condemned the recent enactment of the Online Safety Act, raising concerns about its constitutionality and potential to stifle freedom of expression.
The Centre for Policy Alternatives has expressed strong concerns regarding the recently enacted Online Safety Act in Sri Lanka. The CPA criticizes the secrecy surrounding the drafting process and the rushed manner of passage, raising questions about the government's intentions and potential disregard for constitutional principles. They question the government's motives for pushing through a law with significant implications for freedom of expression and the rule of law. The statement underlines the government's failure to fully comply with the Supreme Court's amendments concerning the bill. CPA says that concerns arise about the constitutionality of the OSA due to the selective implementation of the court's decisions, and that this sets a dangerous precedent for the separation of powers and weakens the rule of law. In a statement, CPA raises concerns about the broad powers vested in the Online Safety Commission, the vagueness of key terms like malicious and wantonly, and the limited role of independent experts. CPA urges the government to review the process and substance of the OSA, take immediate steps to repeal the OSA, and introduce a law that genuinely addresses the concerns of online safety. Further, CPA calls on the government to have a transparent and inclusive lawmaking process that provides time for stakeholder consultations and review.
Newsfirst, main sponsor.
Study in Australia with Edlocate. Visit us on 10th February at the Hotel Galadari. Study in Australia with Edlocate. Speak directly with university representatives, including the highest ranked group of 8 universities in Australia on 10th February 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Hotel Galadari. Scholarships up to 100%. Pre-register with us by calling 077 177 0361.
On the third day of his official visit to Gujarat, Jatika Jana Balawegaya leader Anura Kumara Dissanayake met with Chief Minister Sri Bhupendra Rajnikanth Patel, the State Legislative Assembly in Gandhinagar.
Development strategies for poverty alleviation in Gujarat and the process of state administration was discussed when Jatika Jana Balawegaya leader Anura Kumara Dissanayake met with Chief Minister Sri Bhupendra Rajnikanth Patel. Afterwards, Anura Kumara Dissanayake and his delegation engaged in a discussion with the Industry Minister of the Gujarat state. In their special meeting, the example of Gujarat, which is used as a model for development by the Indian government, was presented. Energy reforms, agriculture, water, infrastructure development, industry and investment, healthcare and women empowerment are the key areas of the Gujarat development model. Anura Kumara Dissanayake also joined an observation tour of agricultural areas and industries in Ahmedabad.
The China Daily newspaper published an editorial headlined, quote, "Shame on India for its coercion of Sri Lanka," unquote, in response to reports published by Indian media under the headline, quote, "India beats China in diplomatic duel," unquote.
The China Daily newspaper reported that some Indian media outlets seemed irrepressible when they reported, quote, "India beats China in diplomatic duel," unquote, earlier this week, referring to an Indian Navy submarine visiting Colombo, the capital of Sri Lanka, on the weekend shortly after the island nation suspended its reception of Chinese research ships under New Delhi's pressure. The report said that New Delhi has been smearing China's marine research ships that belong to the State Oceanic Administrative of China as spy ships of the People's Liberation Army Navy, adding that deep sea research is a cradle for new findings and technologies. China Daily said that many countries do it by themselves or under multilateral cooperation frameworks. The report also said that as long as China follows relevant international laws and codes, India has no right to interfere in it, let alone by coercing small island countries to do it in its stead. The China Daily editorial highlighted that under India's pressure, Colombo unilaterally suspended the hundreds of billions of dollars Colombo Port City project in 2015, citing the project's potential impact on the marine environment. It added that after Sri Lanka realized how beneficial the project is, which is tantamount to building the country a new city on the sea, would be, and found no other country had the capability to complete it, it came back to China. The report also said that if India really thinks it can replace China in such projects, it should have helped Sri Lanka to complete the Colombo Port City project in 2015. The China Daily editorial stressed, quote, "To force Colombo to shut the door on Chinese research ships while China is still helping the country build its largest construction project in history is by no means a diplomatic success for India, but a shame," unquote. With China's Xiangyang Hong 3 research vessel being refused permission to enter the exclusive economic zone of the Sea of Sri Lanka and a submarine belonging to the Indian Navy arriving in Colombo last Saturday, receiving a ceremonial welcome by the Sri Lanka Navy, the geopolitical crisis between India and China regarding Sri Lanka has taken on a new phase. The Hindustan Times recently reported that Sri Lanka welcomed the Indian Navy submarine INS Karanj after shutting its ports to Chinese submarine and research vessel. The Hindustan Times also reported that it marks a diplomatic win for India amid a tiff over China's maritime movement in the Indian Ocean region. The report referred to the Chinese research ship as a Chinese spy ship. After the government of Sri Lanka decided not to allow the Xiangyang Hong 3 research vessel belonging to China's Ministry of Natural Resources to enter the exclusive economic zone of Sri Lanka to carry out research activities, the vessel sailed to the Maldives to obtain the necessary facilities. The Chinese research vessel is currently engaged in a research or observation process at a distance of 200 nautical miles from the Galle port.
Executive Director of PAFRL, Rohan Hettiarachchi, said it is the National Election Commission that decides on holding the presidential election this year and not the President.
The presidential election should be held this year. It is the National Election Commission that decides when to hold it, not the government or the president. The government has a responsibility to allocate funds for it. We are thankful that the government has allocated funds for it, but the parliamentary election is not due to be held this year. The President is vested with powers to dissolve Parliament at any instance and make the necessary preparations to conduct the parliamentary election. Regardless of whether funds are allocated for it through the budget, funds can be obtained through the Consolidated Fund for special requirements. The government is bound to allocate funds for it through the Consolidated Fund regardless of the ruler if the need arises for a parliamentary election. The main concern is whether the ruler or the people decide on the democratic rights of the people of this country. It is apparent that the government is prioritizing elections that they have a higher chance of winning and disregarding the scheduled elections that is the people's right. This is a completely undemocratic practice.
මේක සම්පූර්ණම ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍ර විරෝධී භාවිතාවක් හැටියට තමයි අපි දකින්නේ.
In more news from Sri Lanka's political landscape, former Sri Lankan President Chandrika Bandaranayake Kumaratunga is to be appointed the head of the Podujana Eksat Peremuna's Leadership Council. The decision was announced by SLFP media spokesperson Sirasa Gunasinghe.
The decision follows an executive council meeting held to amend the Podujana Eksat Peremuna constitution yesterday. The constitution of the Podujana Eksat Peremuna or the People's Alliance was amended, allowing the Sri Lanka Freedom Party to contest the upcoming elections as a broader alliance under the symbol of the chair. The SLFP will hold a significant role with the Podujana Eksat Peremuna, securing 25% representation of the leadership board and 50% power in the working committee under the amended constitution. SLFP media spokesperson Sirasa Gunasinghe further announced plans to appoint new office bearers of the Podujana Eksat Peremuna. A new party secretary will be selected on the 22nd of February.
Daya Sandagiri, the 14th Naval Commander of Sri Lanka, has joined the opposition Samagi Jana Balawegaya and pledged support for leader Sajith Premadasa. Premadasa, recognizing Sandagiri's maritime expertise, appointed him as a consultant on maritime and naval policies.
News First with the people.
Study in Australia with Edlocate. Speak directly with university representatives including the highest ranked group of 8 universities in Australia on 10th February 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Hotel Galadari. Scholarships up to 100%. Pre-register with us by calling 077 177 0361.
Welcome back to the news. Architect 2024 Architects Work, Lifestyle and Trade Exhibition will be held under the theme Revive, Collaborate, Thrive from the 22nd to the 25th of February. Sri Lanka Institute of Architects will be hosting its 42nd annual session, Architect 2024, at the BMICH from the 22nd to the 25th of February.
Our annual sessions, especially our conference, is the highest attended conference in Sri Lanka. It's more than 1,000 professionals, industry leaders, architects and stakeholders, as well as foreign visitors and guests. We appreciate the talented architects and give them a proper mileage to showcase their products locally and internationally.
The national conference will be held on the 22nd of February under the theme Resilience, Resourcefulness, Revival, with Professor Jimmy Lim from Malaysia as the keynote speaker. Other international speakers will include architect Baijed M. Kondakar from Bangladesh, with architect Saumitra Ghosh and architect Nisha Matthew from India. The Architects' Work, Lifestyle and Trade Exhibition will be open to the public from the 23rd to the 25th of February from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. The media sponsor for the event is Sirasa TV, Sirasa FM and Newsfirst.
Sri Lanka's central bank saw a modest increase in its official reserves.
According to the Central Bank of Sri Lanka's latest data, the country's official reserve assets climbed to $4.491 billion at the end of January 2024. This represents a 2.3% increase compared to $4.392 billion at the end of December 2023.
Day 4 of the Jala Jana Rally, a nationwide effort seeking to revitalize Sri Lanka's rich history of water management, continued its journey from Batticaloa.
Jala Jana Rally.
Organized by the Sirasa Media Network, the Jala Jana rally, which will proceed to villages and towns across the country, commenced today's leg from the Gandhi Park in Batiklo following religious observances. The event was graced by Batiklo District Secretary Jaleka Murlidharan. Public security officials and security forces personnel in the area were among those present. Water obtained from the Kalladi River in Batiklo were placed on the special platform of the Jala Jana rally. Blessings for the Jala Jana rally were also obtained at the Katankudi Badriya Jumma Masjid. Thereafter, the Jala Jana rally reached the Valikanda town. Water obtained from the Munarathanna River were placed on the special platform opposite the local temple with the participation of members of 11 agriculture organizations and villagers. The Jala Jana rally will proceed to villages and towns across the country with water collected from main irrigation wells and other water bodies in a bid to invoke blessings on the country and her people.
Jala Jana Rally.
Still in local news, while the new leader of the Ilangai Tamil Arsukachi or ITAC has not been appointed yet, two different opinions were expressed regarding the party's recent selection of a general secretary.
The crisis in ITAC deepened following the recent election to choose its leadership. Shanmugan Kugadasan, who was recently announced as the party's new general secretary, said that the party's constitution should be changed as per the times. Meanwhile, the party's former member of parliament Nyanamuthu Srination said at a press conference in Batiklo today that an agreement has been reached regarding the sharing of the position of general secretary of ITAC.
Auditions for the first Tamil language singing reality show that will take Sri Lanka's voice to the world will commence tomorrow, and this grand event is named Shakti Crown.
This grand-scale production promises to be a landmark moment in Sri Lankan Tamil television, taking the nation's vibrant voices to a global stage.
Shakti Crown.
Shakti Crown, Shakti TV's newest singing competition, which is the first Tamil language singing reality show, is here to revolutionize the talent discovery. Designed to elevate Sri Lankan voices to the international arena, this platform welcomes aspiring singers above 15 years of age. Vocal auditions will be held across 11 major cities over the next 15 days, offering aspiring singers a chance to showcase their talent. Remember Shakti TV's successful shows like Shakti Superstar and Isai Ilavarasahal. Shakti Crown promises an even bigger and better experience, bringing international quality music closer to you. The first round of auditions will be held tomorrow, the 8th of February from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Kalyana Murugan Mahal Hall, C Street, Colombo. Following Colombo, the auditions will move to Putlam, Vaunia, Mana, Jaffna, Trincomalee, Batiklo, Kandy, Hatton, Martale, Deriyaya, Ratmalana and the Stein Studios. Produced by Stein Studios, Shakti Crown is set to be a glittering highlight, celebrating exceptional singing talent.
Shakti Crown.
The number of people killed in Israeli attacks since the start of the war has risen to at least 27,708, according to the latest figure by the Health Ministry in Gaza. It added that an additional 67,147 have been wounded, and in the past 24 hours, 123 Palestinians were killed while 169 were wounded in Israeli attacks.
Hamas proposed a ceasefire to quiet the guns in Gaza for 4.5 months, during which all hostages would go free, Israel would withdraw its troops from the Gaza Strip, and an agreement would be reached on an end to the war. Israel's government spokesperson said Israel was studying in the offer intently, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu due to hold a news conference later. The Hamas offer, the contents of which were first reported by Reuters, is a response to an earlier proposal drawn up by US and Israeli spy chiefs and delivered to Hamas last week by Qatari and Egyptian mediators.
A United States court has ruled that Donald Trump does not have presidential immunity and can be prosecuted on charges of plotting to overturn the 2020 election.
Former US President Donald Trump had claimed in the landmark legal case that he was immune from criminal charges, facts he said fell within his duties as president. But yesterday's unanimous ruling in Washington, D.C. struck down that claim. It is a setback for Trump, who has for years cited presidential immunity while battling multiple cases.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight.
I'm Dipini De Silva.
Thank you and good night.